Vybz to the entertainment, big up on yourself, bless up on yourself. We're there with, on the body know, the one and only Matter. Always coming here and teaching somebody something. We're grateful to have Matter in the building. But guess what? We've been talking about the real Nordic Black. And today, just like we promised, so we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot, when we say a lot, the topic is about racism, mostly racism. So anyway, make we just welcome the one and only Nordic Black, all the way from Oslo to Stavanger, to give us his take on racism. Give thanks, brother. First, how was the flight, man? How was the flight?
Yo, it was nice. It was quick, but you know, I do have a phobia of flying.
Why do you have a phobia?
Man, I don't know where that came from, but you know, I guess it's because wherever you can't control your surroundings and things like that, I kind of problem. You know what I'm
But
saying?
earlier you said something about the military. You was in the
I was in the Air Force actually.
Air Force.
It was a non-flying job though. It was a non-flying job.
Oh yeah.
And but yeah, I was in the Air Force, so I did fly a lot. And but every single time I get on the plane, I still have that feeling. Like I get hella nervous.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Okay, but before we even dig deep in any of the topic, we would like to know where your origin and
American.
How you reach here in Norway? One of that too.
Right. No, military brat.
Military brat.
Oh, do you not know this term?
No.
It's it's actually not a very nice term. For children of parents whose job is with the military, and it causes them to then have to move. Right? They move around a lot.
Yeah, we got no choice.
And so the children have no choice because the families are moving for the parents' job.
And
so they grow up in lots of different areas, lots of different countries, and they are affectionately referred to as military brats.
And there's I'm glad you said that, because it affected me a lot in good, positive ways and negative ways.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay, explain some of the good ways.
The good ways is usually you can, you learn to immerse in cultures a little bit better. Because you're kind of used to being in different places, and you used to talking with different people.
The positive, like what?
Positive attributes and stuff like
the positive aspects to growing up as military army brat. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, like I said, you're kind of used to, you growing up, you're learning different cultures, different languages, and you're more open to other people and cultures, religions, and certain things like that. You're not so, what you guys say?
Closed-minded.
Yeah, and closed-minded. What we call that Norwegian? Trangsynt or?
Trangsynt.
Trangsynt. Yeah, learn a new word.
Can you say that? Repeat it one more time. Norwegian what?
Trangsynt.
Oh yeah, what do you mean?
Like
narrow-minded. Like narrow-minded.
Narrow-minded.
Like,
okay.
You only see this perspective because you've never known anything else as well. Like having blinders on.
Right. Yeah. And so, in that sense, kind of like Barack Obama, he's very, worldly and cultivated, as you guys like to say, cultured.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it helped. It helped because I grew up with Dominicans.
Every nation, every race,
culture. Almost every.
No,
definitely. It was really good. I was used to just getting along with everybody.
That's a good thing
for the most part. Yeah.
Now, what about the negative side of it?
The negative side was, as a kid, you have no choice, and so when you kind of get, even as an adult, it spilled over to when I became an adult. It's like you kind of miss having a home in a way where you can say, hey, I grew up with this person in this street. Well, I know this person from...
Basically, your childhood was stolen from you.
You kind of have a lack of roots.
Right. There you go. And so for some people, they think that I just had a blast. I get to travel the world and all those things. But for me, it was kind of like, it was like I didn't really have... Every 4 or 5 years, I had to move around.
Yeah,
And so when I got used to making friends, I had to leave. And so it was always, I had to be that outsider trying to come in. And so it was, in that sense, it was harder. So when I moved to different schools or whatever, different groups, they kind of trusted each other because they knew each other growing up. And I had to find ways into So I always looked at like I was the
You like always the new guy.
the outsider. And so
But when you think about it, it make a lot of sense because when I was a kid and I see other people get to travel and I don't, and they get to 6 months with their dad in America or you like you would love to have that, but later on in the future you realize that what we did have was a blessing because we managed to grow up with childhood friends, and get to run around in the same community every day.
I used to be envious of that too, man. Like I used to be envious of that too. I was like, damn, I wish I had that camaraderie. You know what I mean?
I used to be envy for your life and you envy for mine.
Right.
I have a third perspective.
Right.
I grew up here, but I went to the
You just
international.
gotta be different.
But I went to the international school, and so I never got to leave. But my friends were always leaving.
Wow.
So I got to be really good at being the welcoming committee. It was just interesting because like you grew up traveling around and you grew up staying put, but also with the same people.
Right.
And I grew up staying put, not with the same people.
Right.
So my family was constant and the buildings were constant and the city was constant, but the actual social environment that I grew up in means that I don't have childhood friends because not in that same way because they all had to leave. They had to move. They didn't have autonomy to decide.
This is kind of sick. You grew up traveling, not with the same people.
Right.
I grew up stationing with the same people.
Right.
You grew up stationing, but everyone around you travel.
Right.
Hold on, just think about it.
Right.
We are. Why I brought it up.
Yeah, we are sitting here, and all three of us is like different experience.
Right.
With actually the same child.
And there will be positives and negatives with all of them.
Yeah.
Right. And we haven't even talked about how that affected us as an adult. Mm-hmm. Because that did affect me as an adult. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what about you? Did that affect you?
Oh, yeah.
Shit, so I'm the only one who never get affected?
I think you're affected.
Oh, okay. I don't. Sorry to cut you off, brother, but I want her to tell me what, because I wish I could go back to live my childhood one more time. If I could get that chance.
I'm good.
Would you change some of those things, or would you
nothing
do the same thing?
Even the ass whooping, I would take it again. Yo, the thing is, I was in New York sometime, and I was with my twin brother, and I said to this nigga like, "Yo, if I ever get the chance, I would love to go back to do some of the things that we used to do." This nigga looked at me and like, "Yo, all of that is gone.
Right.
Jamaica is different now.
Yeah.
True.
There is no one running in the woods get picking mango." Or fruits or catching fish or nothing like that, because when we were growing up, my grandmom used to do all the cooking, and she made sure that we were okay, and one thing we did have, I have to say repeatedly, unapologetic, we did have love. With nothing else but love. Right. 5 of us sharing one bed. And it's I don't know how to explain it, but if I should tell you that, if I should try to break it down, it's just that we were poor in love. Right. We were poor. Right. But we were rich in love. Yeah. We were,
I was like, I know, I knew there was a sentence that
we were poor, but we were rich in love.
Yeah.
I hear about that a lot from people, even celebrities or professional athletes. Sometimes they talk about those times when they, the struggle.
But
the goodness.
Yeah, but it is the truth. It's true.
It does seem to be a thing that those who have struggled in life do better.
Yeah.
Or not that they do better, but they are better. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Because they're more reflective of
I wouldn't.
They
I wouldn't
take
say.
things for granted.
I wouldn't say that
as easily as someone who's.
I wouldn't say that.
Why not?
I wouldn't say that because at the same time we were struggling and we were poor, there was people that is way poorer than us, and 90% of them left in the slump, and they find no way out.
Oh yeah.
You know, because we wasn't that rich, but we could help ourselves. And one person get out of the, maybe you see, we talk about my lawyer sister. You know, she got out first, and you know, she make herself a promise that she make herself a promise that she gonna make sure that every one of her family member who she can help, you know, she helped them. I was the second one. You know, so
I mean, there's probably some that wasn't so fortunate, didn't have siblings that was able to do that. But at the same time, I feel you, because there's some people they would have just went out for themselves. Never looked back.
Exactly. If my sister never looked back, I don't think we would maybe I would still be in Jamaica. Maybe dead long time ago or something like that. But she decided that well, I talk about it a lot, you know, but she never want to leave us behind.
You would have been a rent-a-dread, though. You would have been a rent-a-dread, bro. You would have been a rent-a-dread, though. You would have went to the
rent-a-dread fire. Fire. No, but you
know the hotel.
Yeah, but we never know what we wouldn't know what the future would bring, you know, because I could be successful with something because I'm always working. I'm always trying to, you know, be something in life. You know,
but
do better.
Do you not think that some of that in you stems from?
But the environment that I'm in wouldn't provide anything for me.
Right, no. Absolutely.
Because in Jamaica could never. I remember when I was supposed to. I did have some immigration problem. Okay. And I got a letter from the Norwegian government that I should leave the country in 3 weeks, and a very a person that I look up to in this country, a Norwegian man, and I tell him that, you know, that I have to go back to Jamaica, and he looked at me and he was like, Jamaica have nothing to offer you. You know, the kind of work that you can do, Jamaica don't have that for you. If you go back to Jamaica, you're just gonna waste your talent. And that was the person who helped me to you know, figure out my paper, help me to get a lawyer, help everything, and you know, fix everything. Right. So the environment would have destroyed. It doesn't matter what you have or what you can do, because I see my environment, my country, Jamaica, destroy so many people, like so many people with great talent, you know, and so much potential to do great stuff in life, and Jamaica destroyed them. You know, some of the people that Jamaica destroyed, you couldn't believe it. Right. You know?
No, so I hear that and I see that, and I also see some people eventually, once they become successful and accumulate enough wealth, then reach back and try to give something back to the country.
That's another thing. You can try to give back, but be careful who you give it to.
Is that cultural? The idea that if I better myself in life, I should pay back.
It's cultural. Yeah. It's
I think so.
Because I don't think that I would have the same drive.
To me, I think it's cultural and moral, you know, in my book.
I talk to a lot of Norwegian, but the thing is, it's not in the Norwegian culture. It's a different thing, you know, because most Norwegian parents already set themselves. Most Norwegian family already set, complete. So, and when you're gonna give something, you're gonna give it to who want it. You know, who need it more than anyone else. Norwegian people, they don't really need much.
Right.
You know,
first world problems.
Exactly. We want to talk more about that. But you know, we know we're going in the topic, but I wanna start the real topic, racism.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. I want you to take the mic and just your experience. What was your worst experience of racism in Norway?
In Norway. Well, when I was married, divorced now. been divorced for some years. But I remember when I lived kind of a bit on the countryside of Oslo, in a small town, which I'm not gonna name, but we were renting a house that was also owned by a company. But yeah, so this one guy, his job was that was like one of his, I think his side job, because he had a main job, but one of his things was to also be property kind of management in, for the properties that they own, these companies own, or whatever, that they also rent out to some people. Anyway, we had a good deal or whatever. Well, it had all sorts of problems. From We noticed, like rats and stuff that we didn't know was infested with rats and things like that. And also we needed a plumber because of the piping and water was leaking and things like that. And we had certain situations where we needed some assistance like real soon, or it was going to destroy the property for us, like the water leak and also the rat infestation that we found out that they didn't tell us about, that they try to cover over like certain holes. And I realized they painted over certain holes that rats had actually plugged in. Anyway, but my main thing is we hit this guy up. No, yeah, this guy never returned the call. The wife, who was Norwegian, she had hit him up. He never responded, and we needed somebody to come and help us with this problem. So then it took forever. So she asked me, said, "Why don't you, send him a message, because she was going to work too, full time busy." And so I hit him up, and he never answered and things like that. And then she ended up calling him or something, and he had said something like he was gonna deal with her, not talk to me. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
and and she was like, "Why? It's my husband. What's we never met, but he figured I was foreign, my name, and I guess he might have seen me when we first moved in. But anyhow, so that was probably like, believe it or not, the worst. And also, and so that right there, and then months later, I received we received something in the mail, like after this situation or whatever, from the police, politi, and then it said something like the case been closed or something. We was like, what? And what we read and what we understood was somebody had called the police and said that we accused them of racism. And they looked into it, closed the case. Whole time we had no freaking clue that this dude, he tried to jump the gun, because when she told him that, why aren't you talking to my husband or whatever? So because I had got upset about that or whatever, so I had to go to the company, to get somebody on this thing. And I've never even spoken to that guy, period. I just told them the situation, that we have like a slumlord, because this guy's not answering no calls, whatever. And that's all that happened. And then they finally send somebody and, to take care of it. But like I said, months later, like probably like 4 or 5 months later, we get this thing in the mail. Had no clue that the dude quickly on his own called the police and was like, yo.
Yeah, but it's
I was like, what?
You feel guilty. Yeah, like it maybe he think that you was gonna accuse him of it.
Right. So he jumped the gun. Right.
Retaliate first.
Right. First, and that's what I noticed a lot of times, where I know some other situations and hear about other situations in certain job situations that some Norwegians do. If something happened that they done wrong and somebody witnessed it, and then they like end up going to the manager and saying the weirdest, craziest shit I've seen. I'm telling you. And so I learned that there was this little weird game where they jump on the gun because
he's afraid. He's afraid that you was gonna accuse him of it,
right,
or report him for it. But, But I don't think.
So that was one, and then there was another one where when I first got on the internet with my YouTube channel. What's up, little man? and with my YouTube channel, and then I got harassment by when the soldiers of Olden. Remember the group, the racist group, white supremacist group called Soldiers of Odin out of Tunsberg?
Oh, vaguely.
Yeah. So when I first started my YouTube channel,
Yeah.
they actually, I believe, the supporters or them, because I was talking about Soldiers of Odin. Because when I started out, I forgot what year, I had then cleared out a lot of my videos.
Yeah.
Because that segue into when I started my YouTube channel, because my earliest videos now aren't that you see on my YouTube channel called DaRealNordicBlack. Go check it out, and don't forget to subscribe and like this
Vybz
right here.
Vybz Entertainment.
Vybz Studio Entertainment. No doubt. You know what I mean?
I don't have a plug.
Right.
Vybz Studio.
And so my first video actually. So that was one segment, but I can segue into when I first started because it's kind of tied in together. But that was one of my old videos, and I had got some harassment with them, and yeah, I almost like went ballistic, and almost the ex-wife, I'm glad she did catch me and say, yo, at the time I was like, pull up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I was about to give I said, you can't get this fool no address and nothing like that. Oh, of course. But it was I got heated at that moment. That's when I first came on social media. I didn't know how to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? And Soldiers of Odin, that racist group out of Tunsberg, like I said, but internet trolls. And then that incident, and then one time when I was married, was going to what's the one in the countryside of Denmark? It wasn't in Copenhagen. I haven't visited there yet. Was it called not Malone, but
no, we can say the name. We won't. Yeah, we just say a gym.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Like
that's
promoting them.
Yeah. True.
Either promoting them or shutting them down. One or the other. We don't want to do either.
True. We don't want to do none of them things. Yeah. No, but it's not that place though. It's not that place. But there was some park in amusement park in the countryside of Denmark, and we went on a trip, and it didn't actually happen there. It was at a hotel. It was very, they were all staring and looking at us, and the kids were looking very, they were very nervous, and they didn't want to eat. And it started out in the pool. We went to the pool, and they started getting out the pool, the water, when they saw the, kids, mixed kids and stuff in the water. That's historical too, Anyway, and then we went to eat, and they were like, so nothing so overt as much as we have it in your face as we have it in the U.S.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I don't cut you, but I was wondering if it's like the first thing you talk about with the guy with the house and report you to the police.
Right.
I'm wondering if that's racism or if that's a first world problem.
I don't think that's a first world problem.
You think it's racism?
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But racism isn't. No, that's not going to sound right. I'll say it anyway. Racism isn't one thing.
We're not
right?
we're gonna stop this politically correct shit right now.
But you don't have there isn't a checklist of these are the things to do or say that would make you a racist.
Okay,
and as long as you don't do anything on this list, you can't be accused of racism. That's not how it works.
Okay, all right.
That's how a lot of people wishes that it would work, but because then you could do a lot more of this subtle racism. Because subtle racism is the thing. I mean, it's death by 1,000 cuts.
Preach.
So it's like microaggressions. It's little things. They're little things.
See to pull out a word on me. Microaggressions. You know about microaggressions,
right? But they're little things, and the problem with that is that they're so little that you almost feel like even if you have any reaction to it, it'll be an overreaction. But then time after time, repeat after repeat, eventually there's an incident that on the face of it seems small, but it's cumulative.
Okay.
And it's very difficult to detect, and therefore very difficult to say this person was acting racist. And you go,
Right.
what did they do? Well, they really, it's not really,
I-
they didn't really do one thing. If they
Right.
did one thing, and you could actually, and it was kind of objectively, you could document it, you could prove it. There was an action. It's in a way, it's easier to deal with because you have evidence.
Right. It's
But-
more overt, it's more in your
Yeah,
face.
when it's
not some subtle.
You said you prefer overt racism
Yeah, I do. I like
because
do.
then you know
Yeah,
who you're dealing
straight,
with.
no chaser. You know, I like my racism straight.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I've been saying. That it's better when like when people let you know straight that hey,
you know where you're coming from. That person's coming from.
I talked to a racist mother-in-law. Before a racist mother-in-law that is not even white.
Okay.
That's the funniest thing.
Okay.
Not even white.
Was she black?
But not like in between.
Okay.
All right. It's let's just say
right.
prettier, dark skin,
Okay.
not even white, and she tell me straight to the face.
Okay.
That I don't
We gonna
like
get- we
you
don't-
because you look like a criminal, and
Wow.
her child.
Because we got to get into what racism. What we each feel racism. You know how we understand it and what we feel racism is and things like that. But go ahead.
I've experienced so many racism.
Okay.
That's the reason why I asked you that if you think
In Norway.
in Norway, right here.
No doubt.
That's why I'm asking you if you think that the old house slumlord guy was racist or if he was just a special kind of asshole.
I think both.
Just want to take out the problem on someone and just looking for the weak offense because
I think
you
both.
heard we know people. Let's just I'm gonna say something that's a true story, but I have to be careful how I say it because it's not my story.
Right.
Two people, young people, don't even know each other,
Right.
but heard of each other from what I get from the story. They heard of each other. They know about each other. They maybe some allegation pass around, right?
Okay.
And then 13 years later, you know what I'm talking about. 13 years later, this person decide to go and report that person to the police.
Wow.
Who she never even, maybe they met 13 years ago when they were child on the playground or hanging out at some friend's house. 13 years.
They were like teenagers.
She was a teenager.
Right.
He was not. He was younger.
Wow.
And she reported him 13 years later. That's crazy. I don't want to spell the word out, but she reported him for
Alleged.
that. So does that sound like this guy really did that when he was a child? Or this girl just really have a miserable life and wants someone, just want to, shit my life. I don't have no problem. I need something. First world problem. Let me find something. Or what should we believe? Because if you think about it, the guy was afraid. The guy was afraid that he realized that he was being an asshole, and he's afraid that you're gonna report him. So he just run to do it quick, right? This girl have no reason, and guess what? They're both white. If it was a black man, I'm 100% sure we all would have yelled racism immediately.
That's actually a really good. That is kind of. That's a good point. That on the face of any situation, how much can you be sure whether an action is charged purely by the actions of the individual, and how much is charged by prejudice and that they have?
Well, that's a tricky subject that you just talked about. So maybe we can get into that some other time later. But when you asked about the actions, how much when you talk about police brutality, they got data. A lot of times they use data, and you see like police brutality, how many times police pulled over this person or different charges that we talked about.
You can see statistics, can. There's evidentiary proof.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. And you do have the everyday racism and things like that. But first and foremost,
I think Norwegian police pull over a black man for fun.
Hey,
they pull me over for fun. To be honest, like they're driving beside me.
Right.
A police drive past me, and when they just put the blue light.
Right.
And they just like spin around and they pull me over and I'm like,
just to fuck with you. That's
I'm on
what
the
it is.
motorway and a police drive up to me,
Right.
slow down and
I'm
go
not
behind
surprised
me
by that. See what I'm
and
saying?
then pull me over.
Right. That's,
I'm sitting in the car in Sanex, not
they
doing
probably
shit.
trying to see catch you in action.
And the police come over,
right,
start asking me like, and I'm like, yo.
Right. Like they have like,
you know, but one thing with me, I always try to cope with the police. I always try to, whatever they want.
Right.
You need my driver's license? What else do you need? You
right.
need,
you know, that's
you
a
need
good
a blood sample?
That's a good subject that you just brought up. How as brothers, how black people should act when we get pulled over in these situations. But that's kind of similar to like the stop and frisk, they call it in America. When it started in, you know, the word stop and frisk in New York, but, you know, all over America, you know, they have that shit over here too, you know, in certain areas, more, less affluent areas in Norway. I know a lot on the east side of Oslo. You know, I've heard of, you know, in from Romsos to Stavanger to Grorud to Mortensrud to all those areas. You know what I'm saying? They have a lot of those problems and issues out there. So that's a true thing. I was in a vehicle when somebody came up to us, and it was Middle Eastern descent driving the car. This was years ago, and I was just I was sitting in the back. I was just peeping how you know, they were acting, and I noticed that it wasn't so good. But we getting all over the place. But as far as racism though, see, you have you know, different people see racism in different ways. I believe, you know, racism is the basically in simple terms, it's the mistreatment of people on basis of their color.
Because you can have a prejudice,
right,
but it's whether you act on it.
There you go. See, when it comes to racism, it's all about the power, but not necessarily the act, but it's with the not necessarily act, because a lot of people don't realize the privileges that they do have. Because it's systemic, it's institutional, it's right, and so it's mainly when we talk about the collective. We're not just always just talking about individual. We're talking about the collective, and it's got to be backed by power. Like me, that's why some people feel that you can't be some people will say that black people can't be racist. You have that school of thought of people saying that black people can't be racist. Now they saying that they can be prejudiced and bigoted or let me say prejudice, and they don't discriminatory or don't like this and that. But what power does this black person have to really stop you or in a collective of white people? You know what I'm saying? Rather than the opposite, where you have this person working in Nav and this and you have more connections and you know it's first and foremost, racism is a real thing and it's global. And a lot of people, it's funny how a lot of people agree to it when they bop their head yes, but then,
like I just did.
They say racism is a real thing. But then, so why do you know when you talk about structural racism, institutional racism, then they're like, that's a real thing, you know, and it's not isolated, it's global. So that doesn't mean, so it's not just
it's systemic,
here in
which
Norway.
means it's ingrained in the entire structure of our society. So suddenly that notion threatens the existence of life as we know it. Which is terrifying to some people. To think, well, it's terrible, but you know, if we change it, we'd have to change so many things, and you know, like you feel like these little, like they're little Lego blocks that you're trying to remove, but you're like, but actually, so much of our society is built upon this structure. Right.
But it's so my bad. When they talk about black people being racist, you know, like I said, not that they can't be you can be an awful person, a fucked up person, but they can dislike you or things like that. But when they talk about black person can't be racist, meaning that they don't have the power as a collective to really stop you to really do what you
know.
They can be racist as much as they want, but it won't mean a shit.
It ain't gonna mean shit when the power's not back behind it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just and that's real, and that's what they mean. And I kind of got I believe in that as well.
Before I don't want to cut you, brother. Sorry.
But in other aspects of racism,
before the whole police mistreat people, abuse their power.
Right.
Before it run off the trail, out the rail. Let me I want to share one experience I have with the
Police.
Police in Stavanger.
Yeah.
And I will leave you to tell me if this was like some racial, problem, or if this is just like police.
Okay.
Work. I was walking in town, me and a friend of mine, and Norwegian guy. We're walking downtown, and this girl, I think she asked for a light or something like that, and I was saying something like.
Now, when you talk about racism, you gotta let us know what color she was.
Yeah, she was a Norwegian girl. She asked me, but it's not about her. She asked me for a light, and then this Norwegian
White girl.
Yeah, white girl.
Yeah.
She asked me for a light, for a cigarette, and then this Norwegian guy pulls up.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, it's my cousin girlfriend," and he was like so aggressive, and I'm like, "Yo, who give a fuck whose girlfriend is it?" Because she asked me for a light, and I'm giving her, and we talking.
He was in the distance. He didn't even know.
Yeah, he don't know what's happening, so he just come and he think that someone
that you hitting on,
a nigga like that to his girl, so he just come over and immediately he attack. So when he attacked me now, I have no other choice but to defend myself. And everyone, start yelling, and then the next thing, police. And I'm a Jamaican. I'm not gonna run from no police. I'm not gonna shit. When the police come, I surrender. But when I surrender, I realize something. I have a few pictures in my phone. The way the police take me, there was one knee in my, not the neck but the back. And there was like all over my body, like 2 police on top of me. But when I was like, yo, I surrender. Why are you guys trying to kill me while I surrender? Just simply put on the cuff, take me up. You don't need to break my neck. And I was like, really, nigga, you're gonna kill me? And I surrender. And even the police started laughing. I was like, shit, we got caught. This nigga really caught us in the act. Because I surrender complete. And I was like, yo, I surrender. Everything is free. Put on the cuff, pick me up. And I was there talking. But when I take a look on the other side, the same guy I was fighting with, the police was protecting him. The guy who attacked me, a Norwegian guy that attacked me, the police have him over on the other side babysitting him. Checking if he's okay.
Right, putting a blanket on him.
And I was like, hold on, this guy could have given me a nice ass whooping. Only for the police to come and give me a second ass whooping.
Right.
And I was looking at it like, this to me, what is it to you? What do you look at it as?
You know what I look at it as.
But when you hear that story,
I think racism. I think racism has a part to do with some of it. Yeah.
I mean, because if you're called
prejudice,
you're called to a situation to break up a fight between 2 men.
Yeah.
And you choose to you separate them and you treat them differently.
Right.
I presume this is before they knew anything. Probably never. They hadn't asked any questions, about who was what was fighting.
Now you'll have one naysayer, one white naysayer come on here and say, well, he could have been that you were more of the aggressor.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna talk for So
when I hear politic, when they said police.
Oh, when they came, was you on top?
I have no idea where I was, but all I know that we were on the floor, and immediately I just do like this.
Right.
People step on my hand, all kind of shit. There was all, but I surrender. Right. Because I don't want to be there, fighting that guy. Right. Because I can control myself whether I'm drinking or not. So I just surrender immediately. Sure. So so they could just simply put me in the cuff and remove me. Right. But that was not enough. Right. They have to kneel on you. Right. They have to when they kneel on you, it's not like they just put their it's almost like they were trying to, right. They were like, this is my chance to get this dude some pain right. The way the pressure that I feel in my back, it was
I believe
like a trailer truck driving on top of you.
A lot of people abuse. A lot of people abuse their little power when they get to that. When they
force that the police use. Right. And I was completely surrendered. Right. The thing is, when I look at it, I'm like, okay, should I go and report it? What am I gonna say? Where is the proof? Where is the nothing? So most of these things happen, and we just have to walk because
these are one of those subtle, common things. Like not subtle, but these are one of those common things that we know and that I noticed a lot when it comes to that type of job. You know what I'm saying? Where they can get away with those things.
Yeah.
No, they have them
because you could say they didn't need to do that.
Right.
And I think, or I think they were doing that because of the color of my skin. That's why they were treating me that way. And someone else could say, well, maybe, but that's their job, and you can give it any excuse that you want to avoid talking about.
He was resisting.
But is it the color of my skin? Because I can play a video right now with not the police but the security guard in Stavanger. I video it myself with my phone. I video it.
Yeah.
With them on top of a white guy, a white Norwegian guy, about 5 security. I'm gonna show you the video afterwards. Maybe I put it in the clip. Okay. But about 5 of them are I don't know. I don't want to say numbers, but a few of them was on top of this guy, and this guy clearly looked disabled. Right. And I will find a clip, and I'm gonna try to show you.
He looked disabled, you said.
Well, not
something
disabled,
like that.
But he looked a little bit
and
slow.
It was a white guy, and it was all.
Yeah, he looked a little bit slow. Okay. I'm gonna show you. I have the video on TikTok.
No, I got you.
It's on TikTok. I posted on TikTok.
All right.
And I go over to them and I'm like, yo, you guys don't need to. You don't need to do that.
Right.
And one of them was like coming up in my face and like, go back. Telling me to move. And I'm like, if you touch me, trust me, we're gonna be rumbling in the street. Right. Because I never do anything wrong. I'm sober. I'm just saying that you don't need to do that. Right. The guy's on the floor and he's dead drunk. He passed out. Right. Why you have to kill him? Right. No, like honestly, why do you really have to abuse him? Right. And
no, I think that's a systemic problem in the police,
that was a white guy.
Force,
But so then are you okay? But so, what's the correlate that you're drawing there? Is it that
people are abusing their power?
Right.
Yeah, that's
a lot of it have to do with racism.
Yeah.
When they find a black man, they still take advantage. Like, okay, this is my chance.
Yeah.
No, there is racism in it, but I'm saying like that already. Without that police brutality, that's systemic too.
Police brutality, security brutality. It's
people with power.
Because police abuse me. Right. But I see the security abuse a poor guy.
Right. You give anybody, a position of power, they're gonna, a lot of people abuse it. That's just.
Well, that's what they say. Power corrupts, absolutely.
Right. Man or woman.
Oh yeah.
That's a fact.
So, and then the only real problem is trying to figure out like, well, who is it that people in power? Who is it that they want to use that power on?
Right. Now, I remember I was talking to you before we started seeing about something. They have, as far as racism again, we're going to go back to kind of defining it in the definition of how people look at it. Mm-hmm. Well, you have a lot of people in America, black people, African American, well, they follow this. They have a guy I told you about the name of Dr. Umar Johnson. They got another.
I love that guy.
Right, and then you got another guy by the name of Neely Fuller Jr. These are 2 examples. Now he's like in his 80s or almost 90, but he's still effective in the things that he does. There's a guy on YouTube, hip hop cartoon, and he actually uses some of his a lot of his words and some of his teachings and makes it into some sort of cartoon where he kind of revamped a lot of his works or whatever. Well, as far as racism is concerned, Dr. Umar Johnson, he believes that all people are racist. All white people are racist. But he says that all white people are racist, but he defines it, well, he makes a difference between being a racist and a bigot. And a bigot to him is people that are, that's a video right there. Oh, wow. Yeah, he's already subdued.
I videoed that with myself, and look at that guy, pass out. He was so drunk. They don't need so many, and they were way more aggressive.
Right.
And there was the camera, I never catch it, but more of them come.
Right. Wow.
yeah, we're talking about Dr. Umar Johnson.
Right. Yeah. Well, he says that
A bigot.
yeah, that all in his eyes all, and I don't agree with everything he says, and but I get his meaning in this one, and I don't agree with this one. I'm more in line with Neely Fuller Jr., and I'll explain that one. But Dr. Umar says that even though this is a very intelligent brother, though a lot of things with fire, he's yeah, he used to be a school psychologist. And things like that, and he does a very good job. He talks about how a lot of people that were diagnosed with ADHD that weren't really ADHD, and he gets into clinical psychology and school clinical psychology and stuff like that. So that's most of his work. But anyway, he believes that all white people are racist, but not all. That doesn't necessarily mean all of them are bigots. And a bigot would be more of one that is like, you know, in what we call an overt racist or something like that, like a clear, that's more of a bigot. But he says all white people are racist because they have the benefit of white privilege.
Yeah.
You know, whether they choose to have it or not. You know what I mean? Like all white people benefit from white privilege basically in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
And you know, so you yeah, and that's basically his meaning and stuff like that in short. And Neely Fuller Jr. is that not all white people are racist, but that we should, his is a more practical approach. Whereas, because he talks a lot about counter racism and certain things, but he talks about how he approaches white people like they are racist suspects.
Okay.
In a way. So
when he's interacting with.
Is
that what he means?
Well, it kind of prove like all his thing is like, you know, not all white people are racist, but they're all white racist suspects until proven basically innocent until they're proven non-racist. And some of the explanation would be like almost like if somebody stole something at your job or something like that, right?
Yeah.
If somebody came in and would they exclude the CEO? Would they exclude the manager? Say, oh, you guys leave, and then we'll interview all the employees or whatever. Now, if you do that, that manager or whatever that was in there, that CEO might get, you know, just get away with it, right? So usually, if I always give somebody this kind of example, analogy or whatever. But if somebody stole something in your company or something like that, they're gonna interview everybody in there. They're gonna view you, the employee, the manager, the CEO of the company, everybody to get down to who stole this thing. So in a sense, it's like the same thing. So you know, you can't, because you don't have a sign on your head, racist, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you know, you should suspect every white person as a racist.
You should assume that they're racist until they prove you wrong.
Right. And I'm more
prove guilty.
right. No real
yeah.
And I'm more in line.
Or until they don't prove you wrong. Yeah.
Right. And I'm more in line with that there. But I do get with
instead of an opposite school of thought, which would be you should treat everyone as though they are not racist or kind or compassionate until they do something to prove the other way. But
I said I'm more in line with Neely Fuller Jr., but I've, you know, that is a good thing as you said, because some people would think, well, wouldn't it be kind of fucked up to go around thinking that everybody's a you know,
because that's guilty until proven innocent rather than innocent until proven guilty. But either way, it's still working under an assumption until that assumption is changed by some fact. Right. So it's just deciding which assumption do I want to start out with.
Right. And there's a lot
to protect myself in any interactions that I have in life.
There you go. And because of the fact that systemic racism exists.
So there's already proof that part of the system.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You follow me.
Thank you.
And so that's what's up. So that's a lot of his when it comes to Neely Fuller Jr. And so a lot of people are in that way of thinking.
That school of thought, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know that 50 different people can say the same thing.
What do you mean?
You know, like when some people just bound to deliver a message. And when sometimes the way you say things people follow you.
Right.
And the way someone else say it, they hate them, and it's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
You mean like your perception of
like when I listen to
like
Dr. Johnson.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I know what you're talking about. I'm like, where do we get this superhero from?
Yeah, no, the dude's awesome.
Yeah, you know,
the dude's awesome.
When I listen to Kevin Samuel, where do we get this superhero from?
He's something too.
You understand?
He's something too.
Come on, I know you have a thing against Kevin Samuel, but this guy's a superhero. He was a superhero, and he died as a hero. My hero.
He spoke very candid. You know, and real. I'm not gonna say I agree with everything he said, but I don't agree with everything what everybody says.
To be honest,
but he said there's a lot of Kevin Samuel said a lot of he was on point.
He was objective.
He was on point. He was on point on a lot of.
He was just objective, and he just
the way he delivered it. Right.
Yeah, he's not the one who's gonna come and hug you and teach you something. He's gonna whoop you to teach you, like beat and teach. We say in Jamaica,
right.
And that's what Kevin Samuel was doing. And I read a lot of his comment now. That people who used to disagree with him, wish he was still alive today.
And you know, a lot of those people that always were, criticizing him, they was the ones calling up.
But
want to get evaluated.
Only the haters call because they know they have a problem. I listen to when
that's when you're real, like the real Nordic Black. You know what I'm saying?
When I see woman call in that have everything in their life. Like there's a few videos on YouTube, you can check it out. Where woman calling in to just I think it calls something about not smoke. I don't remember what that show called. Yeah, we were saying that people call in only to thank Kevin Samuel,
right?
For all the good work that he's done. So I think that guy never get the credit when he was alive,
right?
But now he's gone. A lot of people realize what he was trying to do.
Right.
And that go back to even with the same old racism, and he was a lot about black people sticking together, and building the black community. You understand? But he always remind his audience that Becky and Maria, that Becky, that's you, and Maria is a Latina. He always used those two names, Becky and Maria. So when the black woman is treating, now we're switching over to racism, but to relationship, but we're going to finish up with the racism, but I'm just saying what Kevin Samuel always said. When the black woman, kick the black man out and treat them like shit, Becky and Maria is always out there waiting, and if you think about it, most of the time, Becky and Maria treat the black man better than the black woman treat the black man. Did you know that? No, I'm asking you. Did you know that? That not all of them, but a lot of them, most of the time. I have some bad experience. I'm not talking about myself.
No. I'm saying.
I'm just saying.
I'm listening.
Because I know how the sister treat me. I cannot even see a sister in this country and say hi to them. I have a bigger chance with saying hi to a white woman. If I ever see a black woman right now and try to say hi to them,
wow, you touching on something right there.
Yeah, you cannot.
Yeah, you touching on something right there.
I dare you to go out there and see a black woman and just run up on her and see what happened.
I heard we were talking about Dr. Umar Johnson, and he said something that I listened to the other day that's prolific, man. He was saying how on that subject, he was saying how white girls, they will, a sister will hold on. They want to wait until to see a brother, especially as far as marriage and linking up to him, for serious relationships. A sister, a black woman, will wait to see if he's already successful and see where everything's going on.
Saying too.
But right, and but a white girl, she will see that investment early.
Exactly.
And so she will come in. She will come in there early when they're in high school, when a professional football player, NFL player is in high school. You know what I'm saying?
That's what Kevin Samuels been saying the whole time.
At the same time, though, we're not saying that that white girl is right by what she's doing. Like, she's not scheming. We're not saying that she's not scheming. But what he was saying was that she gets in there early, and so Dr. Umar Johnson tries to encourage black women to invest in these brothers and you know, get into, you know, these brothers early. See the potential in these brothers early, and you know, so they can connect and go on. Yeah. Rather than run to these Beckys and Karens, well, they see that potential in them early.
Yeah,
but you see a lot of examples there. But I'm gonna go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to say anything except I mean that's just a very common concept, which is buy low, sell high.
Yeah, but our own.
Hey, look, and she knows. So you know who is it?
Our own black woman.
She said, "And you ain't never lying."
our own black woman, right? Have this. They have this thing where
that was good.
Our black man is not. We don't have, but they don't see value. The only time they see a man with value is a man of another race, or you know, and then they look like immediately they think that that's value because okay, that's a white man. They don't care if that white man eats shit for dinner. They see an opportunity, but a black man that is trying as hard as shit to come up.
Now for defense,
they push him to the side like, you're going nowhere.
No, I feel you, and that's what they were hitting on, and that's what they were talking about. But in defense of sisters and black women, you do see a lot more black men with white women than the other way, vice versa.
Yeah, but okay, you ever heard this? Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But have you heard about this thing where they call if you go black, you never go black?
Right.
If you're black, you never go back. Bullshit. One thing I admire with white women,
but black don't crack. That's true. That's real.
They married for.
Yo, what's up with that battery though? Is it still?
No, it's good.
All right, that's what's
but
up.
they you know.
The real Nordic Black. You know what I'm saying? Check me out.
They married. They married. Okay, we're kind of joking a lot now.
Yeah, we gotta joke a little bit, bro.
They married
that's
for
because
security.
Because we're gonna talk about relationships, which we know are a joke. That's why.
Yeah,
real talk.
Yeah, I know you love that joking stuff. But the thing is, what I was trying to say. Yeah, you love it
for sure.
But the thing is, what I was trying to say is that white woman marry for security.
It's a record and a CD and a record you don't know resonate straight out of London, UK. And me a big up Vybz Studio Entertainment. People, go and subscribe to the channel. You see what me I say? You don't know resonate straight out of London. And we are represent for that one here. Pocket 12 fat, rocks for rocks, ice too cool, caption that, touch them girl, send them back. We are lucky place, tell them feel like chat. Remember Vybz Entertainment YouTube channel. Go and subscribe to that. Mad.